So that is another thing. And in the country that we are now, getting a job is very difficult unless you want to be an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur, you also need capital. I don't know if you're getting my point. You also need capital. So all those things, unless the loan is going to be huge amounts that can also cover your school fees, buying you handouts, buying you books, and also help you if some students are wise enough to also get small little things that you're doing. You can do donuts. If you're elite, you can do donuts, egg roll, and sell. While some guys, I think the other things guys can do, if it's badminton you want to do. So those are my honest opinion.
Yeah, talking about the student loan bill that was passed, that was submitted at the National Assembly, right? For me, I think what I really think that should have been done is that loan should have been changed to grants instead of loan. A grant is something that you cannot pay back, just like assisting you. But when you're talking about loan, it's something you have to pay back. What are the modalities of paying back? You know, and we are talking about students. These are students in this country where even after you must have finished schooling and all that, when will you get a job, start working and think of paying back? Because when you start working, even before you start working, there are a lot of responsibilities. So I think for me, it's a misplaced priority. It should be students have the right to benefit, but let it be in form of grants and not loan, because loan can, in fact, how many of them can be repaid back by the same students and all that? So the government should place their priorities right by converting it to, you know, it can be reviewed and said, okay, let it be a grant. This is what we are doing as part of our promise, our campaign promise to help the Nigerian students. So grant should be the right word and not loan.
The truth is that sometimes when governments have intentions, I get worried about the procedure. And when I say procedure, I talk about the process of getting this loan. How will students access this loan, and what are the requirements, who is qualified for this loan, and what are the repayment measures and the duration of this loan. This should be made very clear to the students, because sometimes some loans are quite indicting. When you as a student access a loan, which is what is obtainable in advanced countries, but sometimes this can be quite victimizing, because this loan will have a way of holding you to ransom at a point. So I would have preferred that government do not even call it a loan, they should call it a grant. If it's a grant, it's a more or less helping students to acquire education. Even the downtrodden can acquire education. Those in low sector of the economy can also acquire education. So I will want government, in as long as it's already passed as a law as it is today, is a law. But before this loan is implemented, I want them to explain to the students in clarity how this loan can be assessed and what are the implications of getting this loan. Then again, I also want government to carry the student leaders along. The NANS and the other student leaders have to be involved in the process, because they are the ones that speak for the students across all levels, both private and public institutions. And again, government should also go beyond giving student loan to creating employment, because if the youth are engaged, if youth are well employed, if there are opportunities to thrive, you might not be needing loan to go to school. Parents will not have to subject students to access a loan to be able to get education, which should be a right, not a privilege, for every child to get educated. So my worries remains, what are the procedures and what is the implication of this loan, so that students will not feel from getting a loan as a student, then start using their lifetime to pay a loan. That will not be good at all.
Okay, the students' loan bill, actually, yes, I would support it very much, because if you look at developed countries, that's the very same thing a lot of these developed countries have done to help their students, you know, have access to tertiary education. And the problem with Nigeria is usually not the bills being passed or the laws being made. The problem with Nigeria has basically been implementation. Could be implemented for a couple of months and then it goes down the drain. So I think if it's properly implemented, it would go a very long way. So yes, I'm in support of the student loan that has now been approved, and I hope it really works.
It will up
those students, those people that have interest of going to school, that won't be able to pay their school fees. It will encourage them to go to school. So it's a nice idea. I hope the government implements it and so that it will encourage other students, other people that will really want to, people from poor background that don't have who to sponsor them. It will be a good one, and it's a bonus, it's a plus on the government.
Indeed, a lot of Nigerians are in support of the student loan. They are greatly in support for the government to implement the student loan 2024 in order to help people that are not capable of paying their tertiary institution. I am Namsifon Etum reporting for Global TV.
We appreciate you staying with us here on Global Morning. Thank you so very much, Nasim, for that reporting. Let's turn to our big talk for today, as I'd like to call it, focus on the renewed hope agenda of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Incidentally, one of the things that should be a talking point in the course of this conversation is even the student loan as a piece of legislation which is now in force, and all of the issues around it. All right, how feasible is it now and in future? Because they say government is a continuum, but in most cases, whether at the federal, state, or local levels, we have not seen that really happen. Would that be the same case with the Student Loan Act? Well, we wait to see. In the meantime, I'm joined by a politician and a chieftain of the ruling All Progressives Congress, one who is not ashamed to identify so very passionately with President Bola Tinubu, played a pivotal role in the campaign and the efforts that made him the president in 2023. Chibuna Ubawike, it's a pleasure to always have you on the program.
Thank you.
I know you are very concerned about how Nigerians access the APC government. Your government, as some people call it, even though it's a government for Nigerians now. Let's talk about the renewed hope agenda from the standpoint of impact. Yes, there are people who say, well, it's too early to call results, as they say in the South, but this is virtually 10 months into the life of this administration. What are the KPIs? How do we measure progress?
The government has been doing well. It has done well so far. Everybody wanted to be an immediate transformation, immediate change, but we are humans. It doesn't happen like that. It is a process. And from all that the government have done so far, they have done very, very well. The government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has done very, very well. I told you last time I was here that it will not be long we'll start seeing the positive impacts of his policies and programs. And the Nigerians can attest to the fact that, yes, we are seeing the positive impact. We are yet to see more, and more is coming as we progress in the life of the administration.
I can imagine. Talking about progress, one of the things some people say was a red flag was when the presidents, some have argued, just sporadically, or if you like, impossibly, announced the removal of fuel subsidy without putting palliatives in place. Of course, we know what has happened with the prices of petroleum products since May 29, 2023, and today. Is that a plus or a minus for the agenda of the president?
To me, it is a plus.
But you are just one of many, millions of Nigerians.
See, let me tell you something. To effect a change, especially a positive change, comes with pains. People that have benefited from the previous system of corruption will not want it to work, will not want the change to take place. So it takes a man that has the balls to take this decision and stand by it, so that because he has seen the gains, that will accrue if the policy is implemented to the letter, not minding the immediate pains. Yes, you need to undergo that pain to enjoy the gain. It is a plus. We have seen the petrol price has been undulating. Now it is coming down. People are no longer complaining. When it goes up because of economic variables or market variables, people shout, people complain. But now it is coming down. At least as at yesterday, diesel came down from I think 1,900 to about half of the price, and it's still coming down. PMS2 is coming down. So it is going to be like this. And when our refineries begins to work, the price will come down drastically. Though not like before, but it will come down to what we can,
I know you have never boasted about being an economist, but why can't it come back to what it was before now?
It cannot. There is nowhere. If you know, in advanced economies as well, theirs doesn't come down like that. It doesn't. It is the market forces that determines how the prices goes. All over the world, the price of petroleum products undulates. It goes up, it comes down, depending on the market forces.
Sometime last year, just at the twilight of the fourth quarter of 2023, the federal government had told us that, look, by December, by end of the year, Port Harcourt Refinery will be working, whether at maximum capacity or not, but at least it will be functional, fully functional, they said. But this is March. We have not heard a word. I mean, March of another year. Does that not chop off at the credibility of the Bola Tinubu administration?
It does not. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is not the engineer fixing the refineries.
But he provides leadership in that direction.
Thank you very much. He based on the report that was provided to him, the reports given to him, the feedback he gets. So in engineering, it is not a one-off something. An engineer might plan a project within so and so time, I'll be able to finish it. But in the course of in executing the project, there must be an exigency, something might arise. And if that thing arises and it's something that will take time, it will alter the time frame. What we should be concerned about is within this timeline, okay, there is a shift. Will it take too long for it to come to materialization, or it is a short thing? I believe it is a short-term difference. Soon, the whole thing, the NPC GMD the other time came out to say it will not be long. In a few months, the refineries will be on stream, and we will enjoy the benefits of a reduced price of petroleum products when they are refined locally.
Just a while ago, you and I watched as one of our correspondents did a report on the Student Loan Act, sampling the opinions of Nigerians about this piece of legislation. There have been questions around feasibility of it because it's novel as far as the Nigerian system is concerned. Yes, we've had free education this, free education that in the past, maybe in the 70s up to the 80s, maybe early 90s. But this is a whole new level in that direction. What are your thoughts about this as a Nigerian first?
As a Nigerian, it is a welcome development. I should commend those who initiated the bill in the first process for a student loan, to come to be operational in Nigeria. I should commend them, and I should also commend the National Assembly for taking the bulls by the horn, considering the bill and passing it. I should also commend the outgone President Buhari for assenting to the bill. Now, they are trying to implement the act as it has become. There were bottlenecks that was noticed that will impede the successful implementation of the student loan scheme. So that was why Mr. President, because he is desirous to ensure that this policy goes on stream immediately. So he has to send the bill back, the act back, an amendment, proposal to the Senate and the National Assembly for them to consider it and make amendments for there to be an unimpeded implementation of the act. It is a novel thing, like you said, and I wholeheartedly support it, and I am confident by His grace it shall be successful. It has succeeded in some other countries, it will succeed in Nigeria. And with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu being the man at the saddle that is to implement it now, he's very passionate about education. He will do his best to ensure that the student loan scheme is a success in Nigeria.
Just yesterday, as part of activities during the Federal Executive Council meeting, the President made a couple of, FEC made a couple of approvals. One of them is where President Bola Tinubu himself signed off on approved the Infrastructure Development Fund, which some people say is a step in the right direction. He says the idea is ultimately to help close the infrastructure gap or deficit in this country,
funding gap,
which means Nigeria has to raise at least $25 billion every other year up until 2040 to be able to close that gap. This was an idea that started in 2016. Between 2016 and when he took over, talking about President Tinubu last year, we're not so sure how much of progress we had made in that direction. But now, $25 billion for a country that is already dealing with so much of pressure on many other fronts, is that realistic?
It is realistic and it is realizable. All you need to do is to fashion out programs that will create an avenue for those funds to come in. You put up policies, PPP arrangement, and others to ensure that our infrastructural deficit is taken care of, and then the funding for the infrastructure to close the deficit gap is sourced. Government cannot do it, or that is why government chooses to partner with the private sector, and that gave rise to the PPP arrangement, public-private partnership. So there are a lot of funds in the hands of the private sector, and what government needs to do to ensure that its infrastructural programs are carried out and executed as planned is to partner with the private sector, get the needed funds, give them, like we saw in the last administration, tax credit scheme to the private sector, and they came in to assist in providing infrastructure, especially roads. I live in Lagos. I know of the Oworoshoki Apapa Expressway. It's being handled by Dangote on tax credit scheme, and go and see the kind of work, the quality work that was done on that road. If it was left in the hands of government alone, government might not provide that quantum of fund to carry out that solid project. All other places in Nigeria too, such tax credit scheme projects are going on. So government, it is realizable, $25 billion, it's realizable when the right policies are put in place. And our president, now our current president, has the political will and is determined to make a difference. That's why his government is a renewed hope government. So to renew our hope, he's doing things the way they should be so that Nigerians will feel the positive impact of democratic governance.
That's interesting because, naturally when you look at it, renewed hope, it sounds beautiful, at least in theory, but how do we pacify Nigerians? How do we persuade Nigerians who say, no matter what the president does, no matter what the APC-led federal government does, until it puts food of the everyday Nigerian, it has little or no value. What do we explain in light of that?
Like I said, change comes with difficulties.
With pain.
With pain. You cannot be, if someone is known to be sleeping with one side, always will sleeping one side, and you want him to be turning to the other side, he might not find it easy. And if someone knows this is what he does, the same thing, this same way, and you want him to do it the other way, the person will not find it easy. But if the person chooses to, okay, let me adjust and see how it is, it will affect him a bit. But when he sees the positive gain of the adjustment, he will relax and will be happy and will thank you later for making such a recommendation or suggestion. So what does this imply? The administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is determined to make a change, is determined to turn things around for Nigeria, is determined to reinvent Nigeria, to give Nigeria a future. So successive administrations over the years know our problems, but they shied away from tackling it headlong because they were afraid of the backlash. People will say our government is unpopular, people will rise against our government, people will protest. Because of that fear, they failed to do what is expedient, what Nigeria needs to be done for Nigeria to be Nigeria. Now, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has taken time to study this trajectory and said, I need to make a change. Yes, I will take these decisions. These policies will be implemented. It will come with pain, but we are going to enjoy it later. Let us watch and see what comes up, in a couple of months. I keep saying it because I am very confident and sure that Nigeria will be better in a couple of months.
We've seen the president travel time and again since when he took over as the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. On some of those trips, we've heard such and such amounts of foreign direct investments coming into Nigeria. At the point you had even heard as much as $14 billion and so on and so forth. That was several months ago. How impactful or otherwise have those promises been? Have we seen any of those FDIs come to fruition?
FDIs are not over-the-counter transactions, no. It takes a process, except when it's investing in the stock exchange, you buy shares using special purpose vehicles or so, that kind of thing. You buy shares and whatever. But if you are coming to set up industries, you are coming to invest in infrastructure, there are processes. MOUs are signed there. Then the agencies of government here that are to ensure the implementation of those MOUs so that the investment will thrive and the government, Nigerians will benefit and the investor will benefit. We'll sit down with investors. There are other agreements. If there are ones that need to, amendments of the laws to allow the investment to go on, there will be, such things will be taken care of. It is not a one-off thing. But definitely it will come. And when those gray areas, the legal areas are taken care of, the bottlenecks are cleared, and the person comes, when they start off, it is progress all over. Just they start and they keep moving. And we'll start seeing the effect. It is a process. It is not a one-off thing. It is not an over-the-counter something. So let us watch, wait a bit and see how it happens. Some investments, let me just say, some investments might take a year or two for it to materialize because there are things that need to be put in place. There are processes and procedures that need to be put in place for, the actual solid, or what we call it, the infrastructure to take place.
Let's talk about anti-corruption war now. War, a word we want to use advisedly. But then we've seen this government talk about, rail against corruption. As a matter of fact, former Minister of Disaster Management and Humanitarian Affairs, Betta Edu, had been suspended from office, even though we understand that that office is still left vacant. Walk us through the implication of that, because one would have thought by now one of two things ought to have happened. Either she has now been, as it were, summarily removed from office, maybe by way of sack or something, and then there's a replacement announced. Or we hear that, well, prosecution-wise, this is how far we've gone. Of course, you can't speak to prosecution because you have no idea, not much of knowledge of what the FCC and other anti-graft agencies are doing in that light. But there must be some ramifications as to the fact that there's been a lacuna in that ministry.
If you remember, when she was suspended, some of the programs of the ministry through NSIPA, National Social Investment Program Agency, were taken to the Ministry of Finance to handle.
While others were suspended?
Thank you. So there is no lacuna. Investigation is still going on. EFCC have come out to say that they are still investigating. One thing leads to another, one thing leads to another. In investigation, when you start with this one, there will be a lead to this, there will be a lead to that, that kind of thing. If it is an individual thing, this is a particular person you are investigating, no other party is involved, it's a different thing. But parties are involved. One thing led to the other, one thing led to the other. So they will make sure they conclude the investigation, cross the T's and dot the I's, so that there will not be any loophole in case of prosecution. Because in most cases, we see that the anti-corruption agencies will go to court, and because the investigations were not diligently carried out, there is always a lacuna, and the defense counsels capitalize on that to set those people free. So I believe the present crop of those at the helm of affairs of our anti-corruption agencies are doing their best to ensure that appropriate T's are crossed and I's are dotted, so that there will not be any loophole should there be need for prosecution. So when they finish their investigation, they will let Nigerians know.
When at some point the issue of insecurity came to a head in this country, in the immediate past administration, some people had said it was a Buhari problem, quote unquote. But today, that hasn't abated just yet. You and I are aware of the 137 people that were said to have been kidnapped from Kaduna and eventually freed in Zamfara, a neighboring state within the same northwest region. As of today, we understand yesterday 131 of them had visited the governor of Kaduna State, Uba Sani, 6 of them hospitalized for obvious reasons. The teacher that was also kidnapped alongside her died from what news says is protracted kidney problem. But again, that's just one of several instances. It's either in Zamfara or it's in Kaduna. If it's not in, who knows, maybe Katsina, or it's somewhere within the northeast, Borno, Yobe, Adamawa, and so on and so forth. It appears this administration has done next to nothing to tackle these challenges.
That is not true. That absolutely not true. This security problem, people started it. And why it has, continued till this period is because people are benefiting from it. There are those sponsoring it. There is sabotage, both from within the security agencies and from the populace. You cannot, like me, some time ago, I told you of the one that happened in my place. I said we should stop using the word unknown government. They are known people. Like the one that happened in my place, our boys from my clan, we know them, and we moved against them. But their sponsors were still fighting back, people from our clan as well. So the insecurity problem in Nigeria has continued unabated because people are benefiting from it. There is complicity of both those that are saddled with the responsibility of stopping the insecurity and those, the populace that, because those people live with them, they know them. They know where they are. Give information to the appropriate quarters. But unfortunate thing is that from among the forces that are supposed to fight them are also complicit. Some of them are complicit. There are unscrupulous elements among them. I was watching a video this morning. An army man who is, in one of those states in the north to fight insecurity, is the one carrying arms, bullets to go to sell to the bandits. His fellow military men caught him, searched him. If you see the bullets, I was watching it this morning. So these are the kind of things. If there is no sabotage from within, among the security forces, and from within the populace, this thing would have been finished. They would have concluded everything about the banditry and the terrorism we are experiencing in Nigeria. But because people are complicit in it, people are benefiting from it, it is now an enterprise, it becomes difficult to stop.
Is that the government's excuse?
It's not an excuse for the government. Government is doing its best. Government's responsibility is to provide arms, provide ammunitions, provide welfare for the soldiers, the security agents doing the work. It is the responsibility of the agencies as well to provide intelligence and to work on intelligence. Government will not come, President Bola Tinubu cannot go to the war front. What are the service chiefs doing? And the service chief cannot go to the war front to begin to fight. He has his men. So it is a kind of a shared responsibility. Let everybody do what he is supposed to do. I do my own, you do your own, everybody do, and they will get the problem solved. But if I'm doing my own, you are doing your own, the third person is not doing his own, sabotaging effort, it will not work. That is the situation we are in. So let us be patriotic enough to work together to ensure that we end this insecurity, this insurgency, banditry, and terrorism we are experiencing. It's all over Nigeria now, both in the northeast, northwest, north central, southeast. It's only the southwest that is quite a bit peaceful. South, we saw what happened last week or thereabout. So let's unite together, be patriotic enough, work together to ensure we salvage Nigeria from the hands of these bandits. Those that are sponsoring them, those that are benefiting from this insurgency, who are they? Because you cannot tell me that it is those scruffy and cadaverous-looking people we see when they are arrested are the ones enjoying those millions they collect as ransom. Somebody is behind collecting those money.
Why is it such a difficult task to identify those people? That
is why I said people are complicit. Let every agency of government involved do its work diligently. If they do, like now, if police is tracking a phone that got lost or tracking a criminal to arrest, it is very easy for them to get the person. Why is it difficult to track these people? They make phone calls.
What is that?
The agencies that are saddled with the responsibility to do those things.
I want to bump in on you. No intention to be rude.
No problem.
When we had the PDP in government, this was not the conversation the APC, your party, was having, because at that point, the blame was pegged squarely on the president at the time, Goodluck Jonathan. Nobody talked about security agencies. It was about saying that he is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, and as such, he should take 106% responsibility. But now, the tables are turned. We have to shift goalposts in the middle of a live football match.
I disagree with you. I disagree with you. The blame, the president is to provide leadership. And he provided leadership in this case. Yes, he has. He has provided leadership. What are your needs? He said this, that. I need a more tank. I need AK-49. I need so bullets. I need fighter jets and whatever. And they are provided for you. Do your own. That is just the thing. Then the agencies that are responsible to track phone, because communication, should do their own. What is the essence of this, our NIN and BVN and whatever? If we cannot use it to track the criminal, large sums of money are given to them and they make use of it, it cannot be tracked? No, now. Somebody is benefiting from it, that is why, and sabotaging the process, that is why they have continued. If not, it would have ended since. Okay, look at the one that happened in Kaduna. Does it mean there is no policemen around within that area? These people came, the stories we had was that they drove in motorcycles, came. It was not one person that came to attack, to carry all those 100 and something students at a go. It wouldn't be one person. And they carried all of them, herded them into the bush or whatever, from Kaduna to Zamfara. Yes, they have bush that connected them. No intel, no nothing. What are we talking about?
You know, now that you mentioned Kaduna, I think it's an opportunity to stretch this narrative a bit further, because the conversation around whether or not ransom should be paid in cases like this is back to the table, this time a bit more vehement than before. In fact, so fierce it has become that even the Kaduna State Governor himself, talking about Obasani, has come out to say, look, it is secondary whether ransom was paid or not. The important thing is these children have been released. I mean, their release has been secured. Let's move on with our lives and so on and so forth. Does that bring closure to the issue of kidnapping, which has become an enterprise, to use your word?
Because this criminality has been commercialized. If we keep paying ransom, it will not stop. Because the ultimate beneficiaries of the ransom will keep pushing them, go. Because in crime, especially violent crimes, like kidnapping, armed robbery, and whatever, there's always a sponsor who is the ultimate beneficiary of the booty. But when they are no longer benefiting from that, ransoms are not paid, the crime will stop. What is one way that we can stop that? One, let the security agencies do what they're supposed to do. Do their work. Gather intel. Let me give you an instance. If the security agencies are looking for someone to arrest within a locality, most of them will disguise. If you trade the community, like common men, if you trade the community, gather the needed intel. Tomorrow you see them at the person's doorpost. They arrest the person. You begin to wonder, how did they manage to locate that this person is here? Let them, invest more in intel gathering and make use of appropriate, intelligence. Number two, the communities around should be able to liaise with the security agencies. They know those criminals. They live amongst them. There is a fear that if I tell the security, because there's a lack of trust, if I tell them that, they will now tell the bandits that I am the one that report and they will come after me. We have seen cases like that happen, and we have read about it as well. Let there be that mutual trust. If all hands are on deck, everybody work together. I am telling you, this thing will stop. Those people live amongst the commoners in the community. They know them. It is easy to track them. Even in the bushes where they are, they know them. I believe our fighter jets or whatever are equipped with silent or cameras and whatever to pick images. Let them deploy them properly to locate where, even at night, where those people are. Get rid of them.
I'd like to say a big thank you to you for coming on the program. Chibuna Obawike, APC Chief. Okay, yes, Chief. We need to add Chief to that. But we appreciate your time and the expertise that you bring on our conversations. We don't take it for granted. We hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
We're taking a quick break. Queen and I will be back here to wrap it all off in a minute. Just stay with us. Thank you, everyone, for staying with us on the program. We're just here to wrap it up real quick this morning. It's been a great time on Global Morning. Queen, who has been in and out of the show, has come to add value as well. I mean, Tuesday, second day of the week, as it were, the working week, that is. And it turns out this is where we're leaving the show this morning. But I know somewhere in your head, you've not recovered from the story around the kidnapped 137 pupils and the fact that they have now been released. But then, just like I asked my guest a while ago, should we or should we not continue paying ransom? Because as a country, we must decide how we want to live. We can live in denial all we want. We can lie to ourselves. But at some point, we will need to tell ourselves the truth. It may hurt, but we will be healed by it.
Exactly. Just to add that we're still going to be here on Friday. So we're hoping that some sort of interventions would have taken place as regards the children, maybe in the area of therapy or rehabilitation, like I put it earlier. So we're going to be here. So we're not leaving it at Tuesday alone, even if
so the conversation continues.
And Anthony are going to be here tomorrow. But I'm pretty sure that they're going to dwell on these issues because they're pertinent issues and they're topical
Developing stories.
Exactly.
Right. Thank you, everyone, for staying with us. Queen Agaba and Uyag Mofwe, we have been your hosts. We'll see you again very soon. Stay with Global Television.